Testing, testing, 1, 2. Testing, mother. China! Made in China! Trailblazing. Little cartridge, fun time. No, for real. I put in work. Terrible. It's gonna be fun! This part comes right out.
I had a bicycle until somebody stole something.
Who stole your bike? Alright. Looks like I have reliable audio. Hopefully that's something that will exist throughout the duration of this filming process. Because last night I did the same thing. Not last night, yesterday evening. You know what I mean. Here it is. The ugly Hawk DOX 250 fuel injected. This is going to be somewhat of a 7.5k mile review of the bike, since I've spent a lot of time on it. I mean, there's a few reviews on YouTube, but I got some experience points with it. One of the things I know I can start out with is all the things that have gone wrong with the bike. There's been plenty of it, let me tell you. The engine hasn't gone kerplunk, and I mean, it just continues to press on and on. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Went to get on that ridge and stay there, but I got off of it and fell. So I'll just start naming random things that have either failed or just came loose on the bike. And I know vibrational issues are something that's to be expected with a bike like this. It's not counterbalanced at all, the engine, so stuff's gonna shake loose. Whoa. I had my stator cover cap, that thing. Side stator cover cap. Yeah, that's it. Kind of a mouthful. That rattled loose and came off. And my bike was down for, I want to say, like a month and a half. And is my tire flat? This feels weird. Must be the sand. It is the sand. Wow. But my bike was down all because I didn't know where to get one of those side cover caps from. My rear feels really dicey. Alright, f this. I gotta go. Uh-oh. Made through it yesterday. Apparently not today. Come on, let's go. So I couldn't find the part. That's what I was trying to say before I got stuck there. Finally found one. I'll include that somewhere. There you can find it. Got it from a nice ATV Chinese place online. Swift shipping. Really cheap parts. They don't jack up the prices like what is it, the Ricky Power Sports and Texas Power Sports and whatever all those places are. They retail the shit out of these parts because they know you can't get them anywhere unless you just use parts that happen to fit, and there's some of those that are available. I've never seen that trail. I had similar trouble with the spokes. The spokes was, I don't know, I guess an equally annoying part to find. I'll include the ones that I found from Alibaba. I believe they're 162 millimeters. That's probably really wrong. But I had one of my spokes break, and that caused my tire to go flat because it broke loose and got jabbed inside of my rim. The second one got stuck in between my chain and my sprocket. Just kind of slowed me down and made it feel like my chain was broken. But there was clearly, clearly travel whenever I stopped. Like the engine was still going. It was still being driven by the chain somewhat. So I pulled over, loosened my chain, kicked my tire forward a little bit so I could just pry the spoke out. I left the spoke nut in place, went ahead and tightened everything back up, rode to the house, and actually left it like that until I found new ones. I wasn't going to run it with two spokes gone. I recently had issues with the throttle body here. The bike would be started, supposed to be at idle, but the engine would be really, really revved high, and it would just stay there as a constant. And the bike would die because I'm assuming the ECU was cutting it off. So I noticed that right there, that wasn't returning to the rest position. So I just turned the throttle body like with my hand, like this whole thing. I grabbed it and just like turned it, and the idle immediately changed and it started. Just kept going because the computer wasn't turning it off. So I loosened the throttle body up via that nut right there, turned it, and then tightened it up. There's markings there where they have everything turned at. I just, it somehow rattled loose. Spokes were on the rear. Replaced those. I've gone through 3 tires. This is the 3rd tire, I mean. The chain that came on the bike, of course, is terrible. Everybody probably knows that. I'll include the chain that I got. I got off another YouTube video as well. And I gotta tell you, since I put the thing on the second time, I've had to install it the first time, tighten it up because after just riding around a little bit, it got loose because it was brand new. I'm assuming that's why, maybe not, I don't know. I tightened it up, didn't have to mess with it again until I had to repair my spoke. I had to take the tire off for that because I couldn't get the spoke inside without taking some of this stuff off. Got a video I gotta edit for that. Got everything put back together and tighten this chain up as it should be, and I haven't had to tighten it, and it's been thousands of miles. It's been at least, I don't know, 2,000, 2.5K miles. Great chain. I keep it cleaned and lubed. I didn't clean it last night, but I got to clean it. Put an LED headlight. I've had issues with my rear left blinker, I believe, and some wiring issues. Kind of my fault, kind of the bike's fault, because whenever I'm taking all this stuff apart to put in new headlights and new blinkers and whatnot, I've had shorts from actually the wiring. Everything that's exposed there inside of this cowl, the wire's just covered by these little rubber wrappings, not very good at all. So if you have something moves around, or if you put it back a certain way, there's bolts that are inside here that hold the headlight inside of this fairing thing, and those will touch the wires, or they'll touch together, or touch parts of the headlight, or just whatever is in there. And I've blown a few fuses, figured that out pretty quickly, taped everything up, but the blinker not working is the result of that. It happened kind of the same time that I got it wet and then dried it off with a water hose, and I thought it was the result of the water and not the short, but I found the short. Got me into some more blinkers order. I just installed these actually, but one failed on me because I was bumping against something. I moved my net to the front because it almost caught on fire. It's just a little side note, not actually anything to do with the bike or how good the bike is. It's not fast. Everyone knows that. Tops out 70 with someone my weight. I weigh like 142-ish. It's got a good pull. You can gear it differently. I left mine stock gearing, 1650. Good torque for off-road, decent highway use. I pretty much drive 55 to 62 on this bike all the time. Just the country roads that I take to work leave me at that speed pretty much the entire duration, except for a bit where I'm going 45. And the bike holds up. It's fine. It's reliable. I've changed the oil a whole bunch. I've had some bolts rattle loose from this side cover thing where the sprocket covers that. I got a new throttle cable ordered because I believe this one's too short. The throttle cable that's on there I want to say it's worn down to about 85%, just an estimate. And I don't know what it's worn from exactly, but I'm thinking just the chain being too short. I mean, not the chain, the cable being too short, or the throttle body moving, or both. And both are causing both of the issues. Got another throttle cable ordered. I'll see how that turns out. That's really the only issue that I've had with the bike, is every now and then I'll be riding and it'll kind of cut out on me, like it's losing power. And it's because the throttle cable's messed up or something surrounding that. I loosened up the suspension. They had it really tight. I didn't like that, because I don't weigh very much, so it wasn't compressing very much. Got that fixed. Oh, slipped there. I almost lost it. That would have sucked. That would have hurt. Would have fell right on my face there, and probably my arm. Had my tube fall off, had to get me a new one. Fitting tube there. As far as the sprockets, they seem to have held up well. Stock front tire's fine after all these miles. See, it does fine. It does it. It keeps going. It's fine. Just a little vibey and loud. I wish there was a quieter exhaust. There's not, and I don't think there's a replacement that I can get that's quieter. I don't even know of a plug-and-play aftermarket exhaust that I can put on this thing. I tried taking the baffle out. I can't really do that to re-wrap it. I can tell the baffling wrap, or whatever the hell it's called, it's all beat to shit. It was burned after I got the bike. And what I mean is, I took the baffle cover off, those 3 screws off the back of the exhaust, and I pulled the baffle out somewhat, and all of the wrapping that was around it was kind of falling apart and burn looking. So that's not good for the exhaust or the engine, I don't think. Bike's got pretty good engine braking, only because it goes slow as molasses, so it doesn't really have to do a whole lot. Wouldn't imagine slow down. Starting to get dark on me. It was kind of late getting home. I needed some pizza. I was starving. I love this bike though. Like, I really do. The overall synopsis, or the takeaway from it, is I've had a lot of issues with this bike. I really have. I've had to replace things that have failed and just gone missing due to general vibration of the engine. Way more than I would have with a competitor Japanese motorcycle. Though I paid a lot less. And I paid less and also received an education of sorts, because I wouldn't have learned how to do valve adjustments. You know, the valves come pretty much with no clearance from the factory on these bikes. I almost went down in that sand there. Mine had no clearance. I couldn't get the feeler gauge in between the I don't know whatever the hell they are on the end there, you know, where you adjust the valves. I couldn't get it to go in and out. Just couldn't. Tried. But once I got it adjusted, man, this bike started running so smooth. It was a completely different bike. Ran so much better. Started up easy, because before I would have to, most of the time it would start. You would hit the button and it would just start right up. But every now and then you would have to kind of twist on the throttle like it's a carbureted bike or something. But after adjusting the valves, no more of that. Runs so much better, so much smoother with shifting and driving. Just a breeze and a blast. I've found that I don't even try and use my my torque wrench on the axle nut on this bike, because I've had to use a ooh, that's nice too. Actually, that's nicer. Looks more open. fun. I had to use an impact driver wrench that I had, an electrical one, to get my axle nut off. I was trying to use, mechanical, just the normal wrenches, and I was starting to strip the head out, not because I was doing anything wrong or using the wrong part, just a cheap nut is on the side of that thing, it's cheap steel. So what I had to do, or what I did, is I went ahead and just started tightening as much as I can with my arm strength and calling it a day. I mean, it's only a little bit more heft that you have to put on to get the torque, but it's also too much for the metal. So that's food for thought if you do end up getting one of these bikes. It's something you got to look forward to. Ooh, this looks loose as f. Man, I better go back. I don't know where that comes out at, and it's starting to get dark. I'd be fine. It's not like I'm gonna get lost on the power line, but still. Can't really see shit on the GoPro anyway after dark. I've had the bike follow me on trails and just roads, gravel roads, parking lots, my garage, all that stuff like that. All the controls have held up well. Everything's been solid. It's a nifty little bike. I mean, I haven't had anything with the bike actually stop working that has caused me to not be able to ride it. It's only just been parts that have rattled loose or failed because they were cheap, or I didn't maintain them properly, as in the spokes, or making sure that stator side cover cap was on there. I like that there's no filter with this bike, just the screen. I'm sure the engine would be better off with a filter, maybe. But it's less work, less stuff to buy, less stuff to locate. Never been down this road. I love that, just taking off onto something, some tiny venture that you've never been on before, just to see what's waiting for you out here in the woods. I'm trying to think of stuff that I've forgotten. I'm not just trying to ramble on endlessly. Had to replace the inner tube because it got punctured by the spoke, so it hasn't failed on me. The other tubes worked fine. Got me a rim lock installed for the rear. Got one up for the front as well. I just haven't installed it yet. This bike is raw, kind of janky, and judging from the way this thing handles stops in the rain and just braking in general, once you're on a quality bike versus this one, you're on this one for a while, you stop noticing, you forget all about it, sorta. Man, set neutral. Oh yeah, another thing that's going on, I don't know if you noticed when I was riding, but my RPM gauge just does weird stuff. Like, I'm clearly revving it higher and higher, but it stops reading and it goes down. Well, maybe not so much then, but whenever I'm riding, the RPM gauge just does weird stuff. It's all over the place. And most of the time, it's just wide open even though it's not. I know I can hear the engine instead of constant, but the RPM gauge just fluttering about. You can't see my tag really. That's funny. China! All these plastic parts have held up well. Haven't kick-started the thing once. Brake pads have held up. Stopping power's been fine. I did need to bleed the brakes one time. Somehow air got in the line. No idea how that happened. I've learned how to adjust valve clearance. I've learned about cable slag and brake slag and bleeding brakes. How to change knobby tires, inner tube tires. How to balance them. Learned about gearing, because of course you try and, or a lot of people try and pursue the speed thing with the Hawk. Kind of a fool's errand, fruitless endeavor. Can't go fast on the Hawk, man. Not fast, hell no. The mirrors come loose every now and then. I just tighten the piss out of them, they're fine. Everything else is worked on the gauge. The gas fluctuates according to the speed. Overall, I would say, if you don't mind learning about motorcycles, how to wrench on them a little bit, nothing too major. I mean, I've only taken the part, just minor things on the bike. I haven't broken into the engine. The engine's been reliable, and that's kind of the important part, really. I mean, all the parts that I've bought thus far have been pretty cheap, and if you're really careful about it, you can get them for next to nothing. Learn how to do the maintenance yourself. Don't have to pay anybody. Get a little something out of it. I would definitely buy this bike again, because I would know less if I hadn't, grown less if I didn't have it. I've had heaps of fun on it. I have another bike that I don't even ride. It's a Honda, newer bike, 2020, street bike. I just like the dual sports. This thing has got me into one, the dual sport world, for like $2 grand before financing. I think they've gone up. Recommend it. Would buy it again. It's been a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong. But I love this bike. And I know more about motorcycles, and I'm not such a noob because of this bike. I guess until next time, I'm gonna stop talking about the Hawk. Good night, everybody. Hope to see you again. Bye. Testament to Chinese engineering. Nice to meet you.